Well, happy Friday, everybody. I am Nick Slavic. I'm the proprietor of the Nick Slavic Painting and Restoration Company. I'm also the host of this show, Ask a Painter Live. Now, I am not normally in the place that I'm at now. I am actually on a fishing trip in northern Minnesota in my spearing shanty here. And today I will be joined with a Dutch painter, Michel van Mourik. And we will have a contractor question of the week, and we will take all of your questions live. Now, Ask a Painter is a forum. It's for homeowners who want to ask general painting questions. It's also for professional painting contractors. We can talk business, entrepreneurship, coding science, all that other good stuff. So I'm going to kind of walk you through what I'm up to today. And as soon as Michel van Mourik, my Dutch painter friend, pops up here, I'm going to bring him on. I am in the semi-wilderness of northern Minnesota here. I'll kind of show you around. This is a traditional way of fishing in Minnesota. We actually spearfish. So we cut a big hole in the ice. You can see there's my decoy down there. There you can see the spear sitting there. We can only spear a certain type of fish, a certain amount of them, but it is an extremely fun way to feed your family. So I think I'm gonna get Michel van Mourik here. Let's see if I can pull him up. All right. Sorry, give me just a second here. We will bring Michel up. I'm going to search for his name real quick here. And Michel, if you're watching, just request to go live at the bottom there. All right. Okay. Let's see what we can do here. We'll add Michel here, and I thought Michel would be a very interesting guy to talk to here, specifically because the question of the week this week has to do with gloss oil front doors and all those crazy colors. Paints like fine paints of Europe, things like that. It's a very popular thing. I got a contractor question of the week, and technically, if I understand the history right, the Netherlands is where a lot of those brightly colored gloss oil doors originated from. So, all right, we'll see if we can pull Michel up here. All right, looks like I sent the invite there. Michel, as soon as you get that, bring it on camera. Let's see else who's all watching here. Russ Perry, as always, thank you for watching. Rafael Moraes, thank you for watching. Tarsus Espinola, thank you. Joe Wondra, another local New Prague guy. Thank you guys. And any questions you guys have, it doesn't have to be related to this topic. It can be fishing tips, although you're not going to get too many good ones out of me. Juan Torres, thank you for watching. Any questions you guys have for us during, you won't be interrupted us. Just pop it down below here. Becca Blaustein, thank you for watching. Sonny Jarek. Let's see, Michel, as soon as you get that invite, pop up here. Nana Nelson, thank you. Christiane, thank you for watching. There's Michel, he's watching. Eric Sowers. The technology is an amazing thing here, that we can be in this the semi-wilderness of northern Minnesota, and we can still get enough signal to go live here. It's just amazing. So Daryl Starwart, thank you for watching. Paul Rafferty, as usual, thank you for watching. Fernanda, a Brazilian painter friend of mine. John Klein, past client there. Juan Torres. Not much, man. Fishing is good here. Russ Perry, hello to you too, sir. Oh, Juan is in upstate New York. Well, this is going to be familiar kind of territory to you here. Maybe if Michel takes a second to pop up here, I might take you outside. It's just a beautiful, beautiful place. This crystal clear lake here, it's just an amazing thing. Tom Mossberg, thank you for watching. Okay. Michel, you might have to turn your camera sideways like this. There should be a white button with a green outline of a camera there. You can click that to go live here. Let's see what we got here. Daniel Livingston, thank you for watching. Paul Rafferty, hey to you too. Christine O'Connell from the PDCA. Tim and Amy Lemke, and Christine, Danny, and Chris Shank from the PDCA. Thank you guys for being flexible with all this stuff. You guys give me a lot of leash on this sort of things, and it's awful nice of you to let me do one of these Ask a Painters here while in the semi-wilderness here. So Tim and Amy Lemke, Phil McGrevery, Richard Heilman, good painter friend of mine there. Eric Sowers, 65 in North Carolina today. Yeah, we woke up to a brisk, I think it was negative 18 Fahrenheit here this morning. So, but there's no wind, so it's really nice here. Joe Finch, Mohammed Jaberkeel, thank you for watching, my friend. All right, let's see if I can add Michael again here. All right, Michael. All right, well, okay, well, the PDCA contractor question of the week this week, I'll start ahead and hopefully Michael can join me here. Russ, lend me your hat. It's 30 below here. Holy cow, Russ. Tell me where you are again. There shouldn't be many places besides Canada and Antarctica colder than this. So, okay, PDCA contractor question of the week. I've been getting a lot of inquiries about gloss oil front doors, and specifically, everybody kind of knows it by FPE, Fine Paints of Europe. That's the major high-end brand that sells a lot of these gloss oils. And I'll just kind of describe you. The contractor question of the week was, how's your process for doing these front doors? Do you brush? Do you spray? What's the prep like? How do we go ahead and price things like this? Oh, Russ, you're in Saskatchewan. Oh, yeah, you're about the only other place where people live that are colder than me. So, okay, so I did a couple doors this last year in Grand Mackay. Jim Callahan, thank you guys for watching. I did a couple doors, including some of my own this last summer, and I got to tell you, I've been around just long enough now. I started painting when I was 10, and there were still a lot of oils around, a lot of gloss and semi-gloss oils, and so I have a lot of experience with the end of sort of the traditional oils that you could just readily get at your hardware store. A gallon of satin oil paint or eggshell oil paint or something. So. Basically, my process was with the front door. I wanted to kind of bookend it. I wanted to see, how much prep something would take. I wanted to see how little some prep could take. So I did a couple doors. One, the inside was perfectly finished. We left it alone. Greg Pint, thanks for watching as well. Laid it down on sawhorses, and I stripped it down to bare wood. Scuff sanded it to make sure it was able to accept another coating. It was a fir door, an old fir door, probably from the 60s, give or take. And I oil primed it very heavily, to the maximum wet mill thickness on there. Sprayed it on to get a nice even finish, and sanded that oil primer down the next day, give it a nice smooth surface. And then I started with some wood filler in order to fill in a little bit of the gap. Sometimes the joints in the wood expand a little bit. Sometimes there's just nicks and dents down by the kick plates and things. So put some wood filler on there. Sanded all that off. We call it SVT, sand, vac, and tack. We sand it, we vacuum it off, and then we tack rag it off. And after that, after it's clean again, I primed it again. I spray primed it again to cover up those patches. And then I did an experiment. I did one door spraying, and I did one door by hand. And I got to tell you, if you have a very good brush, a natural hog bristle brush, and you are skilled with doing that sort of thing, you can get a very, very good finish with it. And there's more character from the wood left. I mean, it's not a perfectly glassy thing. Even if you have a piece of nice fur that's sanded down, you're still going to get a little bit of grain ripple on there too. So the sprayed door, from my experience with oils, it's always better to sort of amend them a little bit, thin them down a little bit. A lot of the times, depending on the brand, they come real thick. So you want to, I did an experiment on just a piece of wood and did it just straight out of the can. Oh, here's Michael Van Mourik. Let's see if we can pull him up here. And we're adding him here. It'll be just a second. And then we'll continue this process of the gloss oil here. So Mohammed, thank you for watching. Jessica Newman, Rivers, my cousin, thank you for watching as well. Okay, so after I double primed it after the patches, I did a test, and I found that the paint. Hey, how you doing, sir?
Yeah, I couldn't get the camera on the personal to work, so using the phone now. So
awesome. Nope, that sounds good. And I was actually, the reason I thought you would be a good guest on the show. We'll kind of get into your history, but I got a couple questions about gloss oil front doors, and I thought, if I understand the history right, a lot of that stuff originated in the Netherlands. So I thought, who better to kind of help me out with that, the explanation of it, than somebody from there. So welcome, sir. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah. You're welcome for inviting me. We got a big tradition with the paints here in the Netherlands. Mainly because it was cheaper to produce than the satin paints and the softer sheens. So worldwide, the Dutch are known as pretty cheap. So why not use the glosses?
Is that where the phrase "going Dutch" came from? When you split a dinner receipt.
Yeah. That's it.
That's funny. Well, Michael, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? You're a painter there in the Netherlands. How did you get into it? What's your business look like now? What do you busy yourself with?
Well, I got into well, I started off as a vacation job. My father-in-law had a reasonably big painting company here in the Netherlands, and I finished college and studied marketing and economics. And he said, "Well, before you get a job," and I had to go in the army a few months later. So he said, "Why not join me over the summer and see what you think of it?" Well, that's 27 years ago, almost, and never left the trade. So it stuck with me. And
Wonderful.
yeah, well, done all sorts of things. Started as an apprentice, worked my way up as a foreman, things like that. Handled big crews. I ran a pretty big outfit, offshore outfit, blasting and spraying
Oh, wow.
big oil rigs and piping and things like that. And then, well, that one went belly up. So I said, well, I might as well do it for myself. That's about 8 years ago now.
Okay.
So I've been working got my own company now for 8 years.
Wonderful. And is it mainly a residential company now, or do you still do any of the commercial and industrial?
I don't, no, don't discriminate. I take on everything. If it needs paint, I'll paint it. If
If
it's a big construction, doesn't matter to me. Houses, I'll take on everything.
Wonderful.
I don't think, as a painter, I think, well, you have to do everything. You're a painter. So,
Yeah, and I find I get a lot of kickback. I'm sort of a generalist too, where I like wallpaper, decorative finishes, the industrial, commercial, residential, and even though you may not do a lot of it, it certainly informs the other type of your painting, and it makes you kind of understand coating
yeah,
science and production a little better too. So
yeah, it does. And it keeps you up to date with the, well, safety regulations and things like that, especially working big industrial things. Uh, well, I was working, well, last month I was working a residential job, and that's where you slip up. Because, well, and I slipped up and broke my foot. So,
oh
and
no.
in the big industrial, yeah, in the big industrial ones, you tend to be more careful because you are more aware of your surroundings, and you always have to be. But in residential, I find that, well, your level of cautiousness goes down a bit.
Yep.
So
Okay,
that's it.
so the from the Painting and Decorating Contractors of America, they always like to send me a question, and like I mentioned, this week's question has to do with the gloss oil front doors. And stateside here, Fine Paints of Europe is the sort of the Cadillac of the brands of it here, and it's becoming a very, very
Yeah.
popular process, not only on the front doors but also in interior spaces too. So I thought, I'll finish. I started describing my system for how I did a couple front doors with it. Why don't you give us your experience with kind of the gloss oil, the wild colored front doors?
Yeah, with the gloss oils, the most important thing is prep, 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 prep. The end result is only as good as your prep work. If you, well, I like to say, before you start finishing your door or your window frame, it needs to be as smooth as a baby's bottom, and let the paint do the rest. And it doesn't matter if you brush it or spray it, then it doesn't matter, because the finished paint needs a really smooth surface so the paint can, well, level on it. And if you do the prep work right, say the last step before you put on the gloss, um, you, there can't be anything in the work. No
Mm.
brush marks, anything, no dust. It needs to be completely smooth. And then if you lay on the finished coat, the paint will do the rest. It will go as smooth as glass.
And it's
And
just
well, that's the work. And
it's just like a lot of those things when you're doing a super high end finish. It's that 92% of the whole project is prep, and painting's almost an afterthought at that point.
yeah, that's it. Because you can prep for same with if you get a big spraying job. Prep work, taping everything up, making sure everything, all the glass is covered, everything is covered. May take you 3-4 days for a big house, and then you're 2-3 hours into spraying, you got everything done.
Yeah. So,
But if you don't do the prep work right, well, it gives you a week of cleaning. So,
so why don't in a sort of compressed fashion, why don't you tell us your process from beginning to end when somebody calls and says, "Hey, I want a gloss oil door." What is your process?
the first thing, people call me. They want to. They always bring me in for an estimate.
Mm-hmm.
Then I always make an appointment with the client. I go to them. I look at the state of the woodwork. Then I can determine what it needs. Because sometimes people really keep, they keep their paintwork in order, and then you don't have to do as much. And sometimes you've got houses that haven't been painted in 15 years.
Yeah.
It needs a lot. Yeah, it needs a lot more work. So then I assess the woodwork, the state of it, and then go back home. And then I've got and that comes from the experience in the industry. You know how long it takes, and that's what I figure out. I have with square meter price, say roughly say something. If the woodwork's really bad, it says roughly 60 euros or 70 euros square meter. Put on a good finish, and you know by experience. Okay, I need to strip the old paints, sanding, filling with epoxy fillers, all the holes and gaps and things like that. And then you start building up the coats. And we know if you start with a bare wood door, if it needs stripping, it needs 4 coats to get up to the level you want. And in the beginning, we had the economic crisis here as well, and that's one thing to bring your prices down, but you have to do something. You take something out. You have to take one layer out just to speed things up to make some money. And it didn't feel right to me. So that's why I, at one point, said, "No, scrap that, not doing that anymore. just let my work speak.
Yeah.
I deliver good work. You get a good warranty from me. And if it's 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 years later, you can call me. I'll come up, fix whatever needs within reason, fix what needs fixing. Okay, and that's it."
Nice.
And now, yeah.
Oh, I was going to say that with the fine paints of Europe over here, their product is actually called Holland Lac Brilliant. So I'm sure there's a connection to all that. But that's a very, very popular paint here now. And, I was halfway through my process, just kind of describing, but basically I did two front doors this summer, and I stripped one down. I primed it with oil primer, sanded it all down nice and smooth, did my filling and patching, sanded that again. I primed it again to bring all the patches up to kind of a level substrate. And then I did 2 coats of the gloss oil, and I was very pleased. I sprayed one door, and I did another door by hand, and very impressed. And, I've been painting just long enough that I still remember some. You used to be able to get a lot of gloss oils and satin oils in the stores, and I remember using those, and they were really sticky and they didn't cover well. And the Fine Paints of Europe was an amazing product. It was probably one of the finest oil paints I've ever used, and it covered wonderfully. It stayed wet forever, which is great because it all levels off. And so I had a great thing. So it's so 4 coats for you, huh?
If you start from bare wood, yeah.
Okay.
So the bare wood, we do the patching and filling. If we get the tears and holes, we do it with epoxies. They're more flexible than the polyester fillers.
Okay.
And they recommend it on bare wood because it sticks better to the bare wood. And then prime, and then fine filling, prime again, and then 1 or 2 coats of gloss.
Oh,
so depending.
Just by circumstance, I guess we do about the same process. So, do you have a preferred application method, brush or spray, or one or the other?
Outside work, it's always brush.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I see a lot in the US. In the US, a lot of the outside work gets sprayed as well.
Mm-hmm.
In the Netherlands, it's not a big thing. It's really the brush thing, and we see on the inside work, we see a shift now to more and more painters are spraying everything on the inside. Because since 2001, I think 2002, we are not allowed to use any oil-based or solvent-based paints anymore on the inside.
Oh, wow.
So we have for professional paint use. And so it's a lot of water-based, but with the water-based, I always find the coverage is not that great if you do it by brush. So it takes more coats, and if you start spraying, well, you can get away with one good coat of spray paint, and it saves a lot of time and money.
Okay. Russ Perry, a painter from Saskatchewan, was wondering, do you use oil primer on these doors? When you have your choice to use water base on the outside, what's your preferred?
No, always oil or solvent on the outside.
Yeah, I would agree with that, especially, you know, not only for its sandability, but for the stain blocking as well too. So, and how do you deal with? I mean, we're dealing with a product that has a long open time. It stays tacky, and any flaws will seriously affect the finish. How do you work with these homeowners and families to make sure that this door dries without anybody touching it, without a dog leaning up against it, things like that?
Always, that will always stay a problem, because yeah, it's always the same. And even homeowners that invite you to their house to paint, and you start. I always try to paint the front doors early in the morning so it can get the longest drying time. And but you still have homeowners that well, you paint the door at 8 o'clock in the morning and they slam it shut at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I think, well, you wanted me to give you some good work, and then so you do something like that. It's always a problem.
And what type of what's your preferred brand of gloss oil over there? What's available to you?
Yeah, my preferred brand is we have two main brands in the Netherlands, and that's Sikkens and Sigma.
Okay.
Sikkens is Akzo Nobel brand, and Sigma is a PPG brand. And as a starting painter, you either start with Sigma or Sikkens, and you tend to stay with that. You brought up with it.
Oh, it's sort of like the Benjamin Moore Sherwin-Williams thing over here. It's like guys sort of divide like Ford and Chevy at some point. But oh, that's interesting. And you know, I use a lot of Sikkens exterior wood finishing stuff, a lot of clears, a lot of oils for log homes and things like that. And I wish I had access to some of their paints. I know that there's some specialty boat shops and sailboat shops up in an hour away from me that might have pints or quarts, but I hear about, even in Canada, people getting these great sort of satin enamels, gloss oil enamels from Sikkens. And yeah, I'm going to have to track some of those down, because it sounds like everybody but the United States uses that stuff.
Yeah, it's strange because it's such a global brand, and I think we're especially because with the fine paints in Europe, I know the factory where it comes from. It's Wijzenol in the Netherlands.
Oh,
and
nice.
That's who makes the paints. At least that's that. I'm 99% sure they make the paint. John Shearer visited there. I don't know if you know him. He visited the factory as well. And I always find it strange that a big brand as Sikkens, because Akzo Nobel is a global brand, and but it's the big companies are sluggish. They must see that fine paints is catching on in the US. Jump into that.
Yeah, well, and you know, we talked previously, and you mentioned that you might have some questions for me. Anything top of mind?
Yeah, well, we talked about this in the beginning. You asked me if I do what I specialize in, residential, commercial, and I tend to see. I follow a lot of U.S. painters, and I tend to see a big divide in exterior painters, interior painters, cabinet painters. industrial. How do you think about that?
Well, just like it's kind of funny because when you describe what you do, we basically do the same thing. I mean, you figured out the best way to paint a front door, and I tried to do the same thing, and we have the same process. So obviously, we run similar companies, so we're going to be of like mind. But I was brought up doing
Yeah.
everything, and I actually enjoy it all, and it informs a lot of my other stuff. But if you talk to anybody who would give you just straight business advice and not satisfaction, like life satisfaction advice, they would tell you pick one thing and just do that, because then you have streamlined and you can be efficient at certain things. But it's yes, you can get good at it, but you're also putting a lot of your eggs in one basket. And from being a
Yeah.
privateer years ago, I'm not going to say no to if I'm, 80% of my business is residential. And if that homeowner also owns a store downtown or owns a manufacturing facility, I'm not going to say, hey, too bad. I'm not that painter. Go find somebody else. Because there's a lot of the
Yeah.
processes that translate very easily. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing because oh, I think sound might be sluggish. The industrial painting saved my company in the economic crisis. I landed a big industrial job painting a big steel construction on a newly built office building, and that kept me going for a couple of months. And why say no? It kept me and a few guys busy for I think 3 months. So take it.
Yeah, and if it's sandblasting and painting a water tower is one thing, but if somebody just has a machine shop that needs some drywall sprayed on a ceiling and some industrial enamel sprayed on the walls, that's 95% translation from exactly what I do now. You just change up the materials a little bit and follow the data sheet. So I completely agree. It's not that big of a departure. I think people think it's more of a departure than what it is. So
And you have to the thing you have to do is just keep up with your paint.
yeah, that's true.
Read and painting is not that difficult. Just keep up with the data sheets and try things. If there's a new paint on the market, try it. Get some panels out, and just try it. See how it feels. See how it brushes or sprays or whatever. Just try it out, and you'll know what it does, and then you can sell it.
Yeah.
Last couple of months, I've been venturing out a bit in the decorative wall finishes, stuccos, and things like that. But before I started that, and before I started selling that, I think I made about 50 or 60 panels in my workshop. Just try it out, try it out, try it out, try it out, and then okay, I got it now, and then you can sell it.
Exactly. Yeah. And it certainly takes, the interesting thing that I've learned over the last couple of years is that, each business owner's personality sort of dictates what they do. And it sounds like you and I are sort of like minds where we're really curious about that stuff and we're willing to risk a little bit. You might learn something or you might find this really profitable little niche there. And there's some people who just
Yeah.
aren't as curious and maybe they're better for it because they do one thing and do it all the time. But, like you said, it sure is nice to have those commercial or industrial jobs around Christmas when no homeowner will let you in their house. So, all right, I'm going to scroll through, see if
That's all.
anybody's. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to scroll through, see if anybody's got any questions. And you certainly, whatever you'd like to talk about, we got a couple minutes left here. Oh,
Yeah.
Paul Rafferty. So glad we can still use oil-based gloss and eggshells in Scotland. Paul Rafferty's from Scotland there. Naomi, thank you for watching. Let's see. Russ Perry,
Uh,
he's originally from northern Scotland. Let's see.
yeah, you asked a question
Go.
about Raka being a Dutch company, but I think it's based in Minnesota.
Yeah, it is. And what's funny is the place where I'm from, not far from here, not far from my home, an hour away, the headquarters of not only 3M, but Graco and Titan sprayers are right there. So,
Yeah.
right where I am, we're basically the Silicon Valley of paint pumps here. So I'm actually
Yeah.
trying to line up a couple visits to the factories here, and I'll hopefully we can do an Ask a Painter from there. But yeah. All right. Well, I think that's about it. Anything else you want to go over before we call it a day and I get back to feeding my family here?
Yeah. I like to send you. Well, I talked to you about it. I've got a few friends at Graco, and I'll just let you pick a few things. I got few T-shirts, caps, and key change. Just pick a few from the feed and let me know. We'll send them out to you. And I've got a few. I've got friends in high places everywhere. Let's see if we can get it to the camera.
Oh,
A few
nice.
brushes, Staalmeester brushes. These are a small Dutch company. They're trying to get in the US. If you're interested, they work very, very well. This is a new series. They work very well
Nice.
with the oils, and they lay off very nice. It's a
Wonderful. And well, I tell you what, the easiest way to do this is, I tell you what, everybody who shares this show today, we'll put their name in a hat, and we'll pick a few names out, and we'll give them some stuff from the Netherlands. I think that'd be a good way to do it.
Yeah, perfect.
Awesome.
That sounds good.
That's wonderful. Michael, that's great. Thank you so much for doing this. Technology is an amazing thing here. I'll kind of show you guys what we're up against here. Flip this guy around. This is a beautiful crystal clear lake in Minnesota. You're looking at about 8 or 9 feet of water. This is a setup for spearing northern pike. And we have a wooden decoy here that's supposed to attract it, and you can barely see it, but there's a little about an 8-inch little fish I have on a line to attract it as well. I sat down here this morning. It'll be just a second here. But I sat down, and a couple minutes later this morning, we got a beautiful pike here. So we'll be eating that one later today, hopefully. And I'll pop you guys outside here. Oh man, it's a bright one out here. This is the beautiful lake we're on, and I'm out here with a friend. I think he's got his little portable house, that little black thing over there. He's looking for some fish too, but it's cold out here, and I think that's going to be it for me. So, Michael, thank you so much for doing this. It's an honor, and I'm always glad to meet some other like-minded people, especially from across the world.
You too, and we'll talk about the winners and talk to you soon. Have a good weekend and a good lunch.
You too, sir. We'll talk to you soon. And thanks everybody for watching. And again, remember, any questions you have, let me know. And everybody who shares this show on Facebook or Instagram, you'll be in the running for some of that awesome gear from the Netherlands. So thanks again, and have a good weekend.
Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye.